Welcome to the Explainer. Ever stop to think about how the global financial system keeps track of literally trillions of dollars in stocks and bonds without just collapsing into chaos? Well, the secret is all in a set of codes, and today we're going to crack them open.
Take a look at this. This string of letters and numbers might look like total nonsense, right? But it's actually the unique global passport for a stock you absolutely know. In fact, it's for one of the biggest companies on the entire planet.
And we are going to break this code down together, piece by piece. By the end of this quick explainer, you'll see the hidden structure, and you'll be able to read the story that's locked inside this little piece of financial DNA. So, first up is the ISIN. That stands for International Securities Identification Number. The best way to think of it, it's like a global license plate for a financial security. It's a 12-character code, and it's used all over the world.
Let's use that code from the beginning, which belongs to Apple Inc., to see how this thing actually works. An ISIN has three really clear parts. You've got a country code, a unique security ID, and then a special check digit right at the end. The first two letters are pretty simple. That's the country code. US for the United States, DE for Germany, IN for India. You get it. But here's a really crucial detail. This tells you where the security was issued, which is not always the same as where the company is headquartered. That's a key difference. Okay, the next 9 characters are the real heart of the code. This is the security's unique national ID number. And this is where we find something really interesting, a code within the code. You see, for securities from the United States and Canada, that 9-digit identifier is actually a whole separate code called a CUSIP. So to really understand the ISIN, we first need to peel back that layer and understand the CUSIP. So this 9-character CUSIP, which is right there in the middle of Apple's ISN, also has its own 3-part structure. It tells us who issued the security, what type of security it is, and yep, it even includes its own little error-checking digit. Those first 6 characters identify the issuer. In this case, 037833 is the unique code for Apple Inc. itself. Every company, city, or government that issues securities gets one of these. And this is just brilliant. It shows how much information is packed in here. The next 2 digits tell you the type of security. Apple's is 10, which, as you can see, falls right in the range for common stock. If this were a bond, it would probably start with a 4. How cool is that? And finally, both of these codes end with something called a check digit. This is a very clever sort of self-correcting feature. It's a single number that's calculated from all the other characters in the code, just to make sure the sequence is valid and there are no typos. The ISIN uses this nifty process called the LUN algorithm to figure out its check digit. You can see the steps here. It's a recipe of converting letters to numbers, doubling some digits, and summing them up in a specific way. It might look a little complicated, but this simple math creates a really powerful built-in error check to prevent tiny mistakes from becoming billion-dollar problems. Okay, so now that we've taken both of them apart, let's put them side by side. Seeing them together really clarifies their relationship and their different roles in the financial world. This table really nails the key differences. Notice the scope. ISN is global, while CUSIP is mainly for the US and Canada. The way the ISN achieves this global reach is by essentially wrapping a country code around the local system, like a CUSIP, and then adding its own check digit. It's really the difference between a national ID and an international passport. So this is all pretty fascinating from a code-breaking angle, but why? Why does the financial world go through all this trouble? Why are these codes so important? Well, simply put, these codes are the essential plumbing of the entire financial system. They make sure every single trade is tracked with absolute accuracy. They prevent mix-ups between companies with similar names, and they make it possible for a bank in Tokyo to smoothly settle a trade for a US stock with a fund in London. Without them, the whole thing would be a mess. So finally, let's just quickly follow the journey of a brand new security to see how it gets its global passport. It's ISIN. It's a very clear, structured process. So the journey starts when a company creates a new security. They then apply to their country's national numbering agency. That agency assigns a local ID, like a CUSIP in the US. That local ID is then built into a full ISIN, which gets registered in a global database. Finally, that new ISIN is sent out to all the exchanges and brokers, and only then is the security actually ready for global trading. So the next time you see one of these long, complex codes on a brokerage statement or a fund document, you'll know it's not just a random string of characters. It's an identity, a story, and a passport all rolled into one. And there you have it.
In just a few minutes, you went from looking at a mysterious code to understanding its entire structure and purpose. It just goes to show that even the most complex parts of finance can be decoded with a little bit of explanation. Thanks for watching.